What's up, guys? Welcome to TFGoose Gaming. I'm TFGoose here with Vendetta, and it's time for another Diablo 3 video.
Yay!
Huzzah! Now, today we're gonna do things a little reverse order for showing you guys a strategy video. We're gonna cover the Witch Doctor today, and we're gonna do Vendetta's Wizzy very soon as well. But we're just gonna kind of jump right into the action here and show you the build, and we'll talk about each of the skills along the way. This is on T2. We can definitely go up higher, but for sake of getting through the video, we just wanted to do it kind of quickly here, so we're doing it on T2. And then we'll at the end we'll show you like the big skill screen and gear and yada yada yada, all that fun stuff. So yeah, I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, that's I think that's the plan.
Okay, so start things off. We'll talk about just basic skill set and stuff here. So my first skill down there in the bottom is you can see is Spirit Walk, which is pretty standard, I think, for witch doctors. I mean, I don't know many that roll without it.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a fantastic skill. If you're a witch doctor, you know why. You just get that nice brief bout of invisibility or invincibility, and the little speed buff. It breaks all of the control effects as well. You can't beat that. So pretty great stuff. And that's just defensive. I need that. And I put the Honored Guest rune on there as well, which basically just gives you a little bit of mana return, just in case, you run a little flat with it. Most of the time, you're not going to.
Now, what's the cooldown on that guy?
The cooldown on Spirit Walk?
Yeah.
Typically, it's 15 seconds, but I have a passive on Spirit Vessel that actually reduces that some, and another passive that helps reduce it even further. So it typically is up most of the time, honestly. That's why I don't die very much. So after that one, we got just the standard zombie dogs. And this is one I definitely wanted to cover. A lot of people, especially on forums and stuff I've noticed, tend to ask questions about how to get more damage out of their dogs.
Dog is so good.
Yeah, dog is so good. Here's the short answer. You don't. I don't care how much damage you stack, what the element is. Ooh, treasure gobby. I don't care anything about that. You just cannot get good damage out of dogs. That's not what they're for. They're here solely to be little teeny meat shields. And with the Leeching Beast rune that I have, it'll actually be excellent life return for you as well, which is critical. I mean, that's the same on your Wizzy, right? I mean, you need some life return.
Yeah.
It has to be the case.
A little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're hopefully not getting hit that often, so that's the point. But if you do get hit, or especially if you're standing in certain elite affixes, it's nice to have life return. So moving on from there, the new skill from the expansion is Piranhas. Definitely like this skill. It's a flat 15% damage boost, on the enemy that affects everything you do to it, as well as everything your party members do to it. So it's just a great group spell. You give some added DPS to the entire party, which is fantabulous. And I apologize to you guys here if you're seeing some pops in the video. We're getting some lag. It's been an issue lately on Battle.net. Nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah. So Piranhas is excellent, and I actually use the Frozen Piranhas rune. Feel free to tinker with that on your own. I'm using it explicitly because I actually have a lot of cold damage built into my gear, which we'll show you again at the end. And it just makes it that much better. But if you don't, then the Piranado rune is actually fantastic. That's the one that sucks mobs in, kind of like your Black Hole ability there, or also what the monks can do with a couple of their abilities. So nice to have, great for crowd control. And then after that, I just pick up Big Bad Voodoo, Slam Dance, which I just keep on essentially for groups, meaning working with other players, not groups of mobs. That's an important distinction, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
No, that's ooh, ledge pants, yay. But well, I do those at the end too for giggles. But what's important with that is if you run into a pack, you can pop that, and it's no big deal, and you can get through it without too much trouble. I usually don't pop it in rifts, especially with the kind of groups that we run with, unless we get a double pack or 3.
Yeah,
It's a great oh my gosh, we need to do lots of damage right now. Or else we might all die. It's that kind of a thing. But or I'll pop it on the Rift boss as well, just because.
Yeah, I have to say, being a frequent, obviously we play together quite a bit, but being a wizard, I love BBV. Like, so good.
It is fantastic. It's also important, I will say, if you do run a pet build, which this is not, pet builds would be ones that have gargantuan and fetishes built into them, which is also a very popular build right now for witch doctors. They kind of double dip their damage off of Big Bad Voodoo because pets scale their damage off of the witch doctor themselves. So if I have high damage, so do they, right? So BBV increases my sheet DPS, so therefore my pets have better DPS. But then if the pets are also standing in the BBV field, then they get added damage again. So it's pretty crazy, actually. And it's certainly something you should consider running if you're going to do a pet build. I do it mostly just because I run with other people, and they really appreciate it.
We do.
So something else to keep in mind. And then for my actually clicky skills, the ones you see me use most often, which honestly, I guess I could have probably started with those, but no big deal. You've seen it the whole time. My number one skill on left click is Spirit Barrage with the Well of Souls rune. Basically, this is just a raw single target damage build. The Well of Souls fires out 3 more extra little shards of awesomeness, and they will sort of splash damage things that are around it. And if there is nothing else but your single target there, then those extra 3 bolts just hit the single target. So no harm done. This is really, really, really strong with a particular passive that we'll talk about here in just a second, because normally this is a skill that actually costs a lot of mana. But for me it doesn't because awesome.
Yeah, I see you use that thing quite a bit.
Yeah, it's constant spam, and my mana is never in trouble. Those everybody watching the video right now can see that pretty evenly. That my mana bubble is basically never in danger of going out. It's pretty awesome. So the last skill is Haunt, which received a buff in one of the recent patches. You just get insane damage with this, like 4,000%. It's ridiculous. Again, it's cold based, so if you deal cold damage, it's just all that much better. And I use the Resentful Spirits rune, which basically casts 2 haunts for every time I press the button. So I infect a couple of guys at once. It seems like it shouldn't be something that works really well to take down groups, because I really don't have any AoE built into this at all. But it actually works quite well. I can spam it very fast and infect, 6 to 8 mobs in a matter of a couple of seconds, and that's usually all that's necessary. Then you just go to work with the Spirit Barrage and it takes them down. So pretty nice. And it's excellent for elites and certainly bosses and things. You just stick that thing on there because, speaking of it, moving on to the passives area, I am using Creeping Death as one of my passives. And that is the one, it came from the expansion. You probably heard about this one too, man. It's the one that basically makes dots last, what Blizzard says is almost forever.
Ah, yes, I have heard about that one.
Yeah, well, in Blizzard terms, almost forever equals 5 minutes. So just so we're all aware of that, that's what it really means.
And they say we have ADD.
Yeah, no doubt, right? So, hey, it's their fault, all right? But no, seriously, if you put this on, normally you'd have to reapply dots like Haunt or Locust Swarm if you're using that. But with Creeping Death, you just tap them one time, and then you never have to worry about it again, because frankly, if the elite's not dead in 5 minutes, then you're playing on too high difficulty. It's simple as that. But, it charges right through for bosses as well. A single cast is usually just fine. One thing I will mention on dots, and again, this is sort of a kind of a common knowledge thing, but maybe some of the folks watching this don't know. Critical hits with respect to dots in Diablo 3 do not roll for a critical hit chance on every tick of the dot. Instead, they roll one time on the application of the dot. So if the first tick is a crit, every tick is a crit. But if the first one is not, then none of them are.
I was actually reading about that the other day. So like what I hear is like most witch doctors, they'll just keep trying to reapply the dot so that they can get that crit.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So basically you just kind of have to look, at the screen and figure out, hey, did I get a crit there? Did I not? Look at your damage numbers, realize that dots don't tick yellow for crits for some reason. They just don't.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of strange that way. So, oops, I meant to touch that since you're going forward. But that's something you have to keep in mind. So you just kind of have to look at the damage and realize what's your normal hit and what's a crit hit. and then eventually you'll start to realize, okay, I got it, and then you just let it go. But that's something to keep in mind so you get, the maximum out of your dots. Really, really important. Next passive to talk about here, as we're getting close to the Rift Guardian, is Grave Injustice. This is a really popular, very popular passive. Basically makes it so that anything that dies within 20 yards of your character, and that's increased actually by any pickup bonus that you have, resets cooldowns on your abilities 1 second for each thing that dies.
Wow.
So again, I mentioned earlier, Spirit Walk is up most of the time. That's why. Because most of the time things are dying within 20 yards of me. If you happen to get your hands on a Thing of the Deep offhand, that increases it by yet another 20, which is just obscene.
Yeah, that's OP.
Yeah, there's also a minor bonus back to health and mana for Grave Injustice too, but honestly, that's not really the main point of the passive. The main point is to get that nice reset. Very important. And after that, we've got Spirit Vessel, which honestly, some witch doctors use this, some don't. On hardcore, it's an absolute necessity. It's just hilariously terrible if you don't use it. But this basically gives you an extra life, and it also shortens the cooldowns on Spirit Walk and Soul Harvest if you happen to use that, but I don't. And that's basically the whole reason you put that on. On hardcore, it's just like, duh, why would I never use that? That'd be stupid. And then my last passive, as I cheat and look, oh yeah, that's right. Obviously, the reason that the build works so well with Spirit Barrage. Rush of Essence. This passive basically makes it so whenever you cast a Spirit Realm spell, it starts to return mana back to you over 10 seconds. So because Spirit Barrage is Spirit Realm, then as I sit here and hold down the button, eventually my mana return starts to go over and above the amount that I'm using, and it eventually just refills your globe. So you can just spam it forever. And that's no special gear or anything. All you have to do is just choose the right passive and use that as a left-click effect, and it's just nothing. It's pretty awesome. But that's why I consider and do this forever. So I love this build. It's really, really nice. And again, it's not gear dependent. If you have some cold damage gear or gear that increases those skills, just all the better. It just means you can dial up the torment difficulty, and that's nifty.
Yeah. What torment are you really comfortable on?
With this build, and I'll show you my sheet. This is my sheet DPS and everything here, and all of my stats, which right now I'm reading as 884 sheet DPS and 7.8 toughness. That's pretty high on toughness. A lot of people don't go that high. But with this, I can very comfortably do T3. And if I am in the right group, I can do T4 or maybe even 5, especially if I was with you and a couple of other guys we know.
Yeah.
But solo, I can rock T3 without any issues with this this sheet DPS and these additives. The biggest thing is I'm rocking currently an extra, I believe, 58% damage or 58% cold.
Wow.
And that helps a lot. And I actually have a couple of things that are adding to Spirit Barrage themselves. So as I'm going through my gear here a little bit, if you guys see anything that you want to take a closer look at, then feel free to pause. But a lot of this stuff is just sort of fill in the gaps. I don't need any explicitly awesome gear to do this. I do have a Ring of Royal Grandeur, which is helping because I do have the Augilds set, which is giving me a bonus to elite damage and such. But I didn't have that for a very long time, and it wasn't necessary. But if you want to put that kind of stuff, it's great. I really have the Ring of Royal Grandeur because I'm still actually hunting for all my set pieces as a witch doctor.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. I've found like 2 so far, and they're from the different sets, so pretty ridiculous. But yeah, you guys can put this together with pretty much anything, and just once you get up to the point that you're feeling comfortable with the damage you're outputting, especially with plus cold damage or plus Spirit Barrage or plus Haunt, stuff like that, then just start dialing it up on the torments. And I'll very quickly show you my Paragon as well. Oops, I have one that I didn't set yet. Standard fare here. I dump all my Paragon into movement speed into your max, and then just go intelligence. And then on offense, I'm going full crit damage and then just stacking on crit chance. Attack speed is also a perfectly viable option if you want to go that way. And then on defense, I'm full up on armor and then going to Resol. As a witch doctor, you're going to have a lot of Resol anyway, but getting more is good. You just basically want your percentage mitigation to be the same or roughly the same between your armor and your resol. So keep that in mind. And on utility, I have like no life on hit at all. So I dump it all into life on hit and then into area damage. Also a very underutilized Paragon Spender right there. That's great and does excellent, excellent work. There's some good articles on that. So with that, I don't know, man. I think that's it. Do we have to cover too much else on this?
No, I think that's a pretty good starter for guys playing the Witch Doctor, and you were going to kind of use the same format, guys, for the Wizard videos, so be sure to check out that.
Yep, I'm just rolling my Death Diggers. Yay!
Are they garbage?
They're not too bad actually. I'm kind of pleased with them. As a matter of fact, they're certainly comparable to what I'm wearing.
Excellent.
But they don't have the set bonus, so but still not too bad. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video here. Like I said, we'll get another one of these up for the Wizzy pretty soon, just because these are the two classes that we're really familiar with. Whether or not we do ones for alternate classes remains to be seen. We'll see how much we play the game with other classes. But hey, this is what we have, and we're a pair, so you get what we play. Haha.
Ah.
So with that, guys, stay tuned, and we'll have more of this stuff for you later, as well as, of course, more coverage of whatever else we're playing. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.